That we're past start time, I apologize. First thing, we call the meeting to order. Mr. Phelan and possibly Mr. Rosenbaum, but he's not on there, but Mr. Phelan would like to participate via teleconference. Is there a motion? Mr. Salzer? Ms. Blair? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it. Danny, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you good, thank you.
Next up is the approval of the January 3rd, 2024 minutes. Is there a motion? Ms. Duncan? Ms. Daly? Is there any comments, corrections, concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it. Next is the informational items. We'll just receive and file those unless there's any comments. Committee action, review of executive session minutes. Is there a motion to put this on the floor? Mr. Renaud, Ms. Daly.
Thank you. It's a recommendation of the state's attorney's office that all previously held minutes continue to be held because the need for confidentiality does still exist, and to go ahead and destroy the executive session audio recordings that are 2 years old, more than 2 years old, except for those that relate to pending litigation.
Any comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it. Next is committee reports. First up was infrastructure, but
Mr. Chairman, we didn't have a meeting, but you can look there and see what some of our items are going to be in regard to a couple roads. We're going to have to upfront the cost of this, but eventually it'll be 50-50 with like the Millbrook Road District, which is it's a concrete bridge. I think it's on Maher Road, and Terra Vista Engineering, they have been selected by our Highway Department to do the engineering on that. Radnor Road, both of these are in Mr. Elsesser's district. He ought to be happy with that. District number 14. Radnor Road District, we will be doing the same thing there with the 50-50 split with those people, and they've hired Maurer Struts to do the work. And of course, you've heard quite a bit about this already because on the Hannah City Glassford Road, because Amy and her staff did a good job, and they filed and got this approved by the state, and we're going to do some improvements and use federal money for this because it's a safety project, and it's primarily going to be on Smithville and Lancaster Road, and they are going to put in some safety factors. We're going to widen that road 4 feet, and it'll be blacktopped, that shoulder, as well as they'll do some striping, and they also put in some rumble strips. And I'm not for sure, but because the committee really hasn't met with the Highway Department on this, and we will be meeting the night of our next county board meeting. A time has not been set yet for you members that are on that committee, but we welcome everybody to come to that committee. So those are the things that we are going to deal with.
thank you, Member Salzer. Member Ricker, County Operations. Member Blair.
I'm going to cover that one, yeah. We only had one resolution, and that was to approve the collective bargaining agreement between Peoria County and the Ask Me Health local, as well as the budget appropriation for that.
Thank you, Member Blair. Any questions? Seeing none, next County Health. Member Renaud.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had one resolution, and that was the naming of the new building on Sheridan. We had 2 dissenting votes. They're looking for something a little more creative than what was presented.
Thank you. Next is Public Safety and Justice Committee. Jen, okay.
The only resolution for Public Safety and Justice Committee was the annual appropriation for the State's Attorney's Office participation in the Office of State Appellate Prosecutor Program. And that was just the annual fee to be a part of that program.
Perfect. And then Finance.
So we didn't have a meeting, but I wanted Heather to quickly just go over the finances, if that would be okay.
If you're prepared.
I told her.
Yes, she gave me a heads up. So, thank you for that. I'm short. Thank you. So your financial or your packets have the October 23 financials in them. We're slightly above budget expectations on all revenues except for charges and services, which is just slightly below year to date. And then we're under budget in expenses to date, so that's always a nice picture to paint. Again, I just want to point out the narrative on the Long-Term Care Services Fund. We'll continue to include this in the packet, but we'll probably move it to the end just as an addendum and have it there going forward for future boards to reference. The anticipated fiscal 23 year-end amount for the auditor's office to be transferred is $30,998.22 because we do not foresee any more expenses. I do want to note there was one bill on the accounts payable report for this month, and that was to pay the final payment on the former auditor's cell phone bill. And it was about $275, I think, and that is because it covered 6.5 months because we did not receive any bills until that final one. One quick note on the financials, we're always updating our reports, and on the major revenue analysis section on pages 10 through 14, you'll see 2 new line items below every chart, and it shows the variance in the numbers of actuals and budget to date and the percentage, just so you don't have to do the math in your head like I was doing every month. And then I realized, oh, maybe it would be great to have this for everyone. And then at next month's Finance Committee, we'll be bringing forward the annual request for the rollover appropriation for the fiscal 23 year end. And there are a good number of projects that were budgeted in fiscal 23 that we will need to be rolling forward. So we'll have a nice itemized list of all the fiscal 23 budgets, their amounts total for the project that were appropriated, what has been spent to date, what would be rolling forward, the funds that they're paid from, and then we'll also have that for fiscal 24 and include that going forward. So we have a lot going on as far as capital projects this year, so we want to make sure everybody knows what's going on and where we're at. And then I thought it would be helpful to include, we are anticipating, while we still have through the end of February to receive invoices on fiscal 23 bills, we are a very conservative estimate of a surplus in the general fund is between $3 and $4 million. It could be higher, but we want to estimate conservatively. So just wanted to give you that information. And then I will be working with Matt Cook over the next few months to wrap up everything with everything possible with Headington Oaks receivables. We're pretty close to a settlement with Molina. I'll be talking with the state's attorney's office on that shortly. And we're just waiting for HFS to determine the payout amount for the final bills that they've received. So, you're welcome.
Thank you, Heather. Any questions? Seeing none, we'll move to public comment. And then I'm going to throw you a curveball. We will have to do a quick executive session for some possible litigation, just for an update of the board. So is there a motion? Is there any miscellaneous that we would like to go over prior to? Sorry. And a motion to go into exec. Williams Ricker. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Do you want to do it in this room or move to the conference room? Conference room?